And we are back live once again here from Buffalo, New York, and the General Conference of the Wesleyan Church. We are pleased to be joined right now by Zach Szmara, who is with the Immigrant Connection. And so some of you may have just heard that term, Immigrant Connection, for the first time. Zach, first of all, thanks for being with us.
Glad to be here.
What is the Immigrant Connection?
Immigrant Connection is unique because it's a very grassroots, which we're good at as Wesleyans. We do grassroots stuff very well. And so it was birthed kind of out of a few people's ideas. Dave Jury I think we sat together, it's almost 3 years ago now, around College Wesleyan Church's conference room table with a few people from around the nation that just had a heart for what should we be doing in regards to immigrants within our local churches. And while there's a lot of great things happening in a lot of local Wesleyan churches, whether it's ESL, whether it's churches hosting other churches, or churches like the Bridge that kind of do these things together with multiple languages all at once, or like what Greenville Multicultural is doing down in South Carolina, we were like, well, what are some of the other needs? And one of the biggest pressing needs we found was immigration is a crazy labyrinth. You know, it's a maze to go through. And so there's just this need for legal services. And shock of all shocks, the U.S. government actually will allow and approve churches if they get immigration law training, pass like an immigration test, a bar, get immigration experience, to open a legal office in their church, which is, you know, crazy that someone found that like great thing that we can do. And so we just set off to do those. And so a site in Logansport right here, a little city of 20,000, opened the first site about 2 years and a few months ago, and then that followed by Jim Wood and Olathe Wesleyan, and then up at City Life, Katie White's doing that one, and then down at Bold Beginnings in Atlanta, then El Camino in Greenville, then I think it was May Avenue Wesleyan in Oklahoma City, then I think it was Hilltop Christian Fellowship, which is Rio Rico, right near the border there in Arizona, then Sent Church in Plano, Texas, then back again to Greenville with Matt Miller at Greenville Multicultural. So we have 9 sites open, which I realize doesn't seem like a lot.
Right.
But that is far more than any other denomination out there. So when we sit at the table with a lot of our our cousins or big brothers or whatever you want to say, with like the Nazarenes and the Free Methodists and the Assembly of God, like they're thinking about opening their second one, or maybe they're thinking about opening their first.
Right.
And so the Wesleyans are really kind of leading this movement. And as you see all over the map, there's about 13 more that are going to come online hopefully within the next 3 to 5 months, which is crazy. So the National Association of Evangelicals, their mission arm is called World Relief, and World Relief has been doing this for a few decades. Like, this is what they do well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they have, I think, 21 sites nationally, and we're on pace by the fall that we'll have more sites.
How about it?
And we need each other. We want to partner, but that's just so I'm so proud of that as the Wesleyans, that we're kind of leading this. And so, and then what's really neat, and stop me at any time, but we've created this, you know, kind of where the log jam is in this movement, even outside of the Wesleyans, is shadowing. You have to get experience.
Right.
And when there's not a lot of places to go, everything kind of starts kind of jamming up there. And so we've developed kind of a shadowing experience program based in local churches, because the way we run sites is different than the way a lawyer, an attorney would, or a nonprofit would.
Okay.
We've created this, and so we've trained over 70 people. So Wesleyans and other denominations and even lawyers and paralegals come to Wesleyan churches to kind of learn, how do we go about doing this? How do we go about loving immigrants in a very tangible way? And really, you know, I tell people I'm very selfish. Like, the reason why I do this, like, you guys know as pastors, like being in the baptismal waters with someone, on the front lines of someone doing that's amazing. Well, the same thing with immigration legal services. It's like we get to be front row seats, like just seeing how God transforms lives, where it looks like there's like dead ends and hopelessness and a lot of hatred and animosity. All of a sudden God opens it up, and there's hope and a future, and families like coming together who haven't seen each other for years or at all. And I mean, that's just huge. So selfishly, it's like, I'll do this, you know, all day, because this is really fun. So
Zach, who's coming in? Who are you seeing?
So at our site at the Bridge, we've seen over 600 people from 58 nations.
Wow.
And once again, that's, I mean, you could look it up on a map. Logansport,
that
Indiana.
Is amazing.
You know, little tiny town of 20,000. And so we're like halfway between Chicago and Indianapolis. We've had people come from Louisville, Kentucky, 4.5 hours away, to come to get services, because, you know, are you the church that loves and serves immigrants? And so the first 3 sites have been open for more than 12 months, and it was in I think Wesleyan Life, and it'll be on the new Wesleyan Life Online, I think is going to have this article again. But those 3 sites in 12 months have done 1,023 different people, and it's from 63. Of course, that was just 2 weeks ago. Now it's 68 different nations.
Wow.
And so we just had people come from the Czech Republic and Kazakhstan in little Logansport, Indiana. So we think this is more like, this is Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Cuba.
Right.
And it's like, well, no, this is the world at our doorstep. I look forward to when our map will look like Global Partners map. We'll have more than 100 nations that Wesleyan churches have kind of served. So,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, people come in the door, and what kind of services are you providing?
Yeah, so what people, I think, sometimes they question this. I think sometimes people think, immigration's a bit of an easier process than it is right now. So, Szmara, weird last name. My grandparents immigrated from Poland and Slovakia, waited in line for 3 to 4 hours in Ellis Island, had a medical exam. They checked that you had from $5 to $20 in your pocket. They changed your last name if you were less American like me, which terrible change, by the way. I always made fun of my granddad. Szmara, like we couldn't know it was Smith or Jones or something. like what was that? But then you were admitted to the country. Now it's a lot more confusing. Immigration law and tax law are similar in the fact that they're just very difficult. So people come in, and it could be people that are already naturalized U.S. citizens that want to help some of their family members, because if you're related to someone that's a citizen, you're allowed to help them if they're like a parent or a child or a spouse. Sometimes it's legal permanent residents that want to become citizens. Mm-hmm. We're seeing quite an influx of that with the elections happening soon, so a lot of people want the ability to vote for the first time, and so they're naturalizing. Other times it's kids who have lived here a long time, and they're just wondering, like, is there any way forward? So in a big way, we're just bearers of truth. So there's a lot of times where a lot of us that are working on the front lines would love to see some comprehensive immigration reform to allow us more pathways.
Right.
But we got to work with what we have, and we can only work with the current law. So sometimes it's giving people some really bad news, but at least it's saying, hey, don't spend $10,000 of all your family savings to go to someone who will fraudulently say, we'll help you and hurt you. Yeah. And so at least we can share them, okay, here's the actual truth of the matter.
Yeah, this is a point I was going to make up. People don't realize when you get into the issues of immigration in this country, it is multi-layered, and people don't realize that there are businesses that take advantage of that, and the legal profession is one of those, not speaking broadly, not everyone, but there are some who they can honestly file paperwork, they can honestly do that, but they know when they take that money that the paperwork they're going to file is not going to get to that person a pathway to citizenship. And at least there is the consolation. I know in South Carolina we've been able to look at people and say, there's not a pathway, and don't pay anyone anymore. There's no need to go to someone and pay money.
Yeah. And if you hear something, or you think something changes, or you see something on the news, just come to us, because we'll be kind of the bearer of truth in this, and we'll let you know, because we want to serve as many people as we can, but we also need to do it in the way that legally allows us to be able to do that.
I think you talk about the election. Immigration may be the most misunderstood, confusing issue, because when you talk to people, and many of them are trying to get here legally, and you hear the hoops that they have to jump through and the money that they've had to spend, and they just keep hitting walls, and they keep hitting walls. And I'm so grateful that our denomination, people like you, are getting on the front lines. And here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing with immigration. We got all these people coming from many countries that we couldn't send a missionary to. And they're coming to us. And we have this opportunity not just to help them through all this legalese, but to do it in a gospel-centered way. And when you tell me, hey, we're about to be the world's leader in immigration connections, I mean, that's exciting to me. I mean, I think, somewhere John Wesley's heart is warmed again. This is great stuff.
So if someone was inspired by what you've just told us, and we're really interested, like they want to climb on board with this, what steps would they need to take?
So we have a couple unique opportunities coming up. We try to do at least 4 to 5 immigrant connection shadowing experiences every year. So we have one coming up in Kansas.
Okay.
In fact, it's a unique one because Our shadowing will run from June 27th to July 1st at Olathe Wesleyans. I'll be there, Katie White from City Life. We kind of bring in leaders from the movement all together so you can get unique perspectives, different local church context. But the week before that, World Relief at Nazarene Theological Seminary in Kansas City is doing the training. So really, if your heart's really warmed, and you really want to jump in, you have an opportunity that if you're able to in 2 weeks, you can get everything you need kind of packaged together in one place. If that doesn't work, we have another shadowing experience coming up at City Life, October 10th to the 14th. We only take about 6 to 8 people because we want to keep ratios good. Okay. And so those spots do fill up. If you go to Wesleyan.org, /IC for Immigrant Connection Shadowing. So Wesleyan.org, IC Shadowing. It'll come up all the information, how you register, how you go about doing that. Or if you're just interested in general, if you go to Wesleyan.org /Immigrant, it takes you to the whole Immigrant Connection page. Because we would love not every church might open a center, but we want every Wesleyan church to have God's heart for immigrants. And so we want you to realize, God is calling us. I've served in Judea and Jerusalem and got championed. I served with global partners around the world. But Samaria, sometimes we always bypass, And one of our Samarias, I think, is definitely immigrants.
Totally.
And so I think it's a prime thing. We forget that it's within John 4 where it says, look to the fields. They're ripe for harvest. And that harvest is not one that's going to be normal. It's not one that you're going to have to work for. That's what we're finding. The immigrants are already ready to walk across the line of faith or be a part of our churches. It's not like we have to do the normal things with our own cultural group. They're primed. And so it's like, you can be about doing this. So whether it's preaching sermons, doing small groups, having a speaker come and answer questions for some of the things, any of that stuff, you can go to the website and kind of reach out, and we'd love to help out, facilitate that in any way, so all of our churches are loving and serving immigrants.
Good.
Zach, I just have a curiosity. What has been the response of neighboring churches and community to the work that you guys are doing?
We love it. I mean, and everyone's really on board. I share with people it's opened up so much in Logansport because I'll go to the mayor or the police or the sheriff or different boards and say, I'm Pastor Zach, and they'll be like, whoa, like you shouldn't be here. And I'll be like, oh, I run the Immigration Legal Clinic. And then it's like, oh, like you're welcome to be at the table. And so the influence of our church and the exponential invitations we get to speak and share Jesus' heart on many issues has been opened because of our heart for immigrants. And so it's been really great. We've seen that almost across the board at all of our sites, that it's opening up so many more doors, more than just immigrants and refugees, but also with a lot of ways that we can actually build the kingdom in our communities. My best story was we have an unchurched elected official who said, if Logansport as a city can look like the bridge in 5 years, we'll have done something right. Here's someone who hasn't yet crossed the line of faith, and they already see this is what the kingdom coming means. And so it's really special and really, really great. So
that is awesome. Again, when we get these videos posted later, we'll have all these links, Wesleyan.org/IC.
IC Shadowing.
IC Shadowing. Zach, thank you so much, not just for being here, but for your passion for this. It really comes through. And it's something that, this is part of our heritage.
It is.
And it very needs to be part of who we are.
Yeah.
So, hey, stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We've got more interviews coming up. So just sit tight. You'll probably see maybe even a video from one of our sponsors. But again, thanks to Zach, and we'll be right back.
Zach, thanks so much.